Well, welcome everyone. Thanks so much for attending this webinar. This presentation is intended for all recipients of the Scrap Tire Education and Outreach Grant. Hold on, I'm trying to advance just one sec. Do I hit that?
Yeah, it's good. But be out here first.
Awesome. Okay. In this presentation, we will discuss some portions of the grant agreement between Ohio EPA and your organization, the final report due to Ohio EPA, payments, mock visit training and resources. We're going to answer any questions you have. And let me just put it out there that if you have a question about a particular slide while I'm going over the slide, we have a relatively small group, so please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question. And then we'll cover contacts. So in this part of the presentation, I want to kind of go over some sections of the grant agreement. Article 2.1. In the application that you submitted to Ohio EPA, you provided proposed activities that you would complete. For example, some of you mentioned that you would identify scrap tire generating businesses by car, web search, etc. Identifying these activities in the application allows you to perform them since they were factored into the grant funds requested to complete the activities in the model. However, if you find a more efficient way to identify scrap tire generating businesses than by searching by car, you are not held to that approach that you proposed. So I just kind of want to make that clear. That's kind of covered in Article 2.1. Now, Article 2.2 touches on proposed budget of cost. So while I just mentioned that you are not held to some of the proposed approach to completing parts of the model, for example, identifying scrap tire generating businesses in a different way than you proposed would be acceptable. We cannot provide more monies than you asked for. So if the alternative approach ends up costing more than what you requested for that activity, we will not be able to reimburse you. So please feel free to reach out to Ohio EPA if you run into issues or want to check if a different approach is acceptable. Now, everyone's contract was signed by the Director of Ohio EPA on December 29th, 2023. Yay! So this is the day that the contract became effective. Therefore, any work performed to implement the model on this day and after is eligible for reimbursement. The project period began on December 29th, 2023, with the director signing the contract, and the grant agreement ends June 30th, 2024. Article 4.1 identifies the amount of the Ohio EPA grant award. Article 4.2 explains how the grant will be paid out. The grant will be paid out in 2 installments. So for the first installment, agency shall pay 50% of its total grant award upfront to be used for project costs according to the grantee's approved budget as contained in Exhibit B. And then a final payment of 50% of the grant award will be withheld to reconcile the grant account at the end of the grant period or the closeout of the grant. Article 4.3 addresses unspent funds. So first, I want to mention you need to notify Ohio EPA of unspent funds within 30 days of the contract expiration. You may propose to use unspent funds in a manner consistent with the purpose of the grant as long as they're spent by the deadline. For example, you may find more businesses than you anticipated and have funds to do more outreach. If unspent funds become an issue, we will provide instructions on how to return funds to Ohio EPA. Article 4.4 addresses mileage. The grant pays for mileage and uses the current rate set by the IRS. You will need to keep records to justify your request for mileage reimbursement. Article 1.9 addresses payments for activities. So it's important to say grant funds may only be used to pay for completion of activities that make up the model in Exhibit A of your grant contract, and for the amounts not to exceed those listed in Exhibit B of the grant application. Unapproved costs or costs in excess of amounts specified in the approved budget will not be reimbursed by the agency. Any grant-related expenditures made prior to the effective date of the grant agreement will not be reimbursed. So here on this slide, I've identified some of the eligible expenses. This table was provided in the grant application instructions. And I just want to highlight some of the activities of the model where records need to be kept. So for communication, you are eligible to be for expenses tied to travel to and from meetings with local officials, law enforcement, and the cost for mailings. So, again, please just keep good records of that. Locating scrap tire generating businesses. Eligible expenses are to locate scrap tire generating businesses via transportation, search engines, white pages, etc. And then we will also, of course, pay you to enter the scrap tire generating businesses into the spreadsheet that we've designed to track the scrap tire generating businesses. For initial contacts and required visits, please keep good records on the travel time to visit these scrap tire generating businesses, and then, of course, the mileage. And then the amount of money you'll be paid when you're actually interacting with the scrap tire generating businesses has already been predetermined. So for visit 1, you're allowed up to an hour with the scrap tire generating business. For visits 2 and 3, you're allowed up to half an hour for each one. For the closeout report, eligible expenses are actually the cost to input the data into the spreadsheet and complete the final report to Ohio EPA that I'll go over a little later. There may be costs associated with fiscal completion of the contract. Those are eligible expenses as well. So please keep good records for all of these types of eligible expenses. Article 7 addresses records retention. Please keep fiscal accounting records of the work that you do for the grant for 5 years. It addresses separate accounting. Separate accounts are not required by Ohio EPA. This may be something that's required by your agency or institution, but definitely separate records for management of the grant funds are required. Please obtain and maintain supporting records such as invoices, proof of payment, receipts, timesheets, etc. And then Article 7 also addresses access and audit. Article 18 addresses project budget modifications and substantial changes to the project. If you have a substantial change in how activities that make up the model will be completed, or you have a budget issue, please reach out to Ohio EPA for guidance. Final reports. So final reports must be submitted electronically to Ohio EPA. Attach all supporting documentation, including invoices, proof of payments, etc. Final reports should be submitted within 45 days of completing all site visits as specified in Exhibit A, or no later than June 30th, 2024, whichever occurs first. So let's kind of touch on what makes up these final reports. So there will be a final report when the model is complete. The components of that final report include the completed scrap tire generating business spreadsheet, visit logs for each scrap tire generating business, and a completed survey monkey. So at the conclusion of when you're done with the grant, EPA will send you out a survey monkey to kind of ask some, it'll be more narrative, ask you some questions about how the process, and then ask for feedback as well. And then fiscal final report, again, attach all supporting documentation, including invoices, proof of payments, etc. The fiscal final report is different than the fiscal progress report. If Ohio EPA needs you to complete a fiscal progress report, we will reach out to you. Payments. So EFT is the default payment method that the agency uses. Ohio EPA will provide email notification to authorized officials and fiscal officers upon dispersion of grant monies. Expect funds in January. Actually, I need to change that, maybe early February of the grant year. Let's be hopeful and definitely say January. Funds will not be dispersed until a contract has been signed by all parties, but as I mentioned before, the contract has been signed, so that's not an issue. Let me elaborate on this a little bit more. So we have been looking up OAK addresses for all of the recipients. We have not found all of those addresses. Just want to kind of mention also, if everyone has to have be in Oaks, and even if you are in Oaks but you don't use it that frequently, please check to make sure that you have your password and that you know how to navigate the system. We will be giving you fiscal officer contact information from EPA to work out any details.
Hey, Shannon, do you just kind of want to explain to folks so they know that when we were talking about Oaks, that's basically the system that the state used to pay people. So a lot of you are already in there. You've gotten other grant funds before. Assuming that information is also correct, that's how you'll get paid. If you're not familiar or you don't have an account, even if you don't accept electronic payments and we need to do a check, we still need to get you in that system so that we can actually pay you. So when we're talking about Oaks and ETF, that's kind of what we're getting at.
Thank you, Kelly. Does anybody have any questions about that Kelly can answer? And if she can't answer, we'll definitely give it to our fiscal person.
I have a question.
Yes.
With cycle grants, you have to have a completely different fund set up in your accounting program. Am I understanding that? Sorry, there's an echo. I'm not sure why. Can we just use it in our general fund and then keep track of it through a line item?
So there were a little bit of breakout, but I think what you asked me was, can the money be deposited into your general fund as long as you have it line item and you're tracking it separately? And I think that, Shannon had mentioned this on a different slide. So Shannon, correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, as long as you keep track of it appropriately, if you want to put it in there, that should be fine. We're not asking that you have a totally separate fund to dump the money into.
And if you don't have an Oaks account, could you, if you're familiar with Microsoft Teams, can you chat in that you don't, or we're just going to assume you do?
And I will say, and again, probably you all know this, that the electronic funds transfer is going to be the quickest method for us to get money to you. For whatever reason, the checks, even though it goes through part of the same process, even if you take out the mailing thing, they take more days to process. So if you need the money sooner, if you can get set up to do the electronic transfer, that would be best, and we can get your money a little bit quicker.
But if you do want the check, we will go that route. But yeah, Kelly's right. Definitely want your money quicker. EFT is the way to go. Mock visit training and resources. So as part of the training for this grant, Ohio EPA staff will be coming out to visit you in January, and we will run through the visit log. We want to kind of go through some of the resources that we have just to make sure you understand how to use them. And really the purpose of the visit is to go through the visit log with the education and outreach coordinator. So I'm not sure if all the education and outreach coordinators, the people who are actually going to be doing the interfacing with the scrap tire generating businesses, are on the call, but we will need to visit with them again, kind of do a mock training. Like we'll go through the visit log and kind of role play, make sure they're aware of the resources we have on our website. And then I'll be there to answer any questions or address any issues that may arise or that they're concerned about arising as they interact with scrap tire generating businesses. Also, during this visit, we're going to provide palm cards. We're going to give the Education Outreach Coordinator their OCAP contact information. OCAP stands for Office of Compliance Assistance and Pollution Prevention. You know, a lot of these, probably all these businesses are going to be small businesses. And Ohio EPA has this confidential service for small businesses to help them navigate our regulations and really be in compliance with our regulations. So, you know, as the Education Outreach Coordinator is out interfacing with the scrap tire generating businesses, while we are there to address tire issues, they may have a question about, you know, their used oil or some other kind of EPA related question. OCAP is definitely the resource that we can give them to kind of address those questions that are not part of the model. And then during this visit, we also review the online resources. I've also created a video that goes through the resources that we have available. I don't think it has been posted yet, but I will definitely send everyone a link to that video as soon as it gets posted to the grant webpage, so you can begin to kind of review those resources. And now I'm going to open the floor to questions. And as Jeff is checking to see if anyone is asking questions, please know I'll be sending an email out to you today or tomorrow to see when would be the best time to come out and meet the Education and Outreach Coordinator. Again, go through the resources and answer any questions they may have.
And just as a reminder for questions, you can either type those into the chat or you can use the raise hand function on your toolbar and we'll call on you to ask your question. If you're not able to use the chat, you can email me at jeffrey.monovan@epa.ohio.gov and we will check your question in the email. Okay, so we did get one. Is it okay to change our targeted dates for initial contacts with the scrap tire generating businesses and law enforcement?
So read that again, Jeff.
So is it okay to change our targeted dates for our initial contacts with scrap tire generating businesses and law enforcement?
Yeah, so I mean, kind of the way it works is okay. Kind of the way it works is you reach out to local officials and, you know, at the same time that you are putting together your list of scrap tire generating businesses in the targeted area. And then within 2 weeks, and then after you've reached out to local officials, you know, whether it's a city council member, mayor, chief of police, whomever, after 2 weeks after reaching out to them, and then of course, identifying all your scrap tire generating businesses within the targeted area, then you will begin to conduct your visits. So as long as you can try to get those visits spaced out, visits have to be at least 30 days apart, okay, when you're visiting these scrap tire generating businesses. So you can definitely change your target dates. You just have to try to make sure that you can get all this work completed and the final report into Ohio EPA by June 30th, 2024. So we know we've kind of got a little bit of a late start. We're not definitely promoting that people go past that date, but if for some reason you can't get all of the steps completed by June 30th, we'll have to talk about that. So please reach out to us. But you can change your targeted dates for initial contact. Absolutely. Just be aware that there's a hard 90 days of the model that you can't really alter. You know, you have your first visit, then next 30 days you have your second visit, and then next 30 days you have your third visit. So Yeah.
And Shannon, we did have another question come in. So they're asking, are we providing the information that they're sending out to public officials? And then what would we suggest?
Yeah. So that's written up in the model. So please take the time to read Exhibit A, which is the model. And the model specifies that at a minimum, when you're reaching out to local officials, you have to send them an email that has a letter attached. We give you that template letter, and then it has a video attached, and we give you that video. So you just have to fill out the letter, essentially, fill in who your EOC is. It's a fillable form. You would attach that to the email, as well as give them a link to the video that we've already created. And that's the minimum that has to be done for outreach to local officials and law enforcement. And if you want to do more, if you feel like you need to go before city council and explain why you're, doing this outreach, you know your areas better than we do. You know what, at the end of the day, what kind of how you need to interface with your community. So minimum is email that has the letter attached and a link to the video. But if you need to do more, that is fine, as long as it doesn't exceed the proposed funds for that particular portion of the model.
And so we did have another comment come in, and this is from Kelly Crawford, our wonderful fiscal officer for the division. And she just gave everyone the link to Ohio Pays. It's showing up in the chat. So this is where you can go in and make sure all your payment information is in there and up to date so that you can get your funds. And one thing that I did just want to mention, I forgot to mention it at the start of the call, but the agency is going to be doing a media event to announce all of the grant recipients. And we would just ask that, obviously you guys are going to start your work and be contacting people. But if you could just let us do the news release and the media event to basically announce all of our wonderful recipients, we would very much appreciate that. And then also our communications department will likely be reaching out to some of you to see if you would be interested in being interviewed for that media event. So look for that contact to be coming relatively shortly as well.
Thank you, Kelly. I meant to let you share that information at the beginning and just started zipping. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. And I see we have another question coming in. They have public officials who do not have emails. Is it okay to mail the information? Yes, that is totally okay. If you need to send it through the mail, that is fine.
You can definitely send it through the mail. We will request, though, that you maybe give them a call and show them how to look at the video that we have online.
Okay, we have another question. How many grants were awarded total?
7.
All right, I am not seeing any other questions coming in. Shannon, was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we concluded today?
I can't think of anything I need to add at this point, but we will be getting emails out to you shortly related to fiscal stuff, and also for visits to kind of do, like I said, a mock visit using the visit log with your education outreach coordinator. So we will be in touch. Oh, someone raised their hand.
Yes,
so,
Kelly. I'm sorry, please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. With that information that you'll be sending out on the physical side, it will explain like the documentation requirements and.
So the documentation requirements are in your exhibit A, is it right? Is it exhibit A or B, Shannon? I forget. We keep saying exhibits. I should just say it's in the
Exhibit B,
model.
Exhibit B.
Exhibit B. So all of that is in there. We can definitely send out another copy of that so you have it handy when we send the letter, though.
Okay. And then the the personnel part of our grant, their rate of pay with fringes exceeds the 32. Would we just 32 is the maximum?
Yeah, correct. And that's something that I guess I should have talked about that too. So essentially, we are not paying salaries. We are paying for a visit is kind of how we consider it. So it's not like we're doing a direct salary reimbursement, and we are willing to reimburse a visit up to 32. So if there is, if their salary goes above that, that is not something that we will pay because we are not replacing salaries, if that makes sense.
Okay. And then it's just keeping time and activity reports, or what, or the time, or is that included in the spreadsheet? I'm sorry.
Yeah, correct. So basically, when you submitted your applications in, you specified your rate per visit. So you would just be, what we'd be doing is saying, you did the visits, you keep track of them. So again, for the first visit is an hour, second visit, half hour. As long as you have done those visits, then you would get the money for those visits. So you just want to make sure, and it's kind of going to be helpful because we're having you list all the places that you go in the spreadsheet. So that will be something that we will be looking at for verification of the time that was spent and where you went for the grant. And Shannon, I'm sorry, I'm jumping in here so you can tell me if I missed something.
Yeah, no, I envision, someone gets in a car and they run around to these scrap tire generating businesses, and you keep a log of how long they're working. And that, we would essentially assume that whatever that log is would be visiting scrap tire generating businesses. We're also going to probably have to, if you're going to give us, for example, a day, they worked for a day and they spent that day visiting scrap tire generating businesses. If it's their first visit, we're going to have to assume that they know that, they really shouldn't spend more than 1 hour with that scrap tire generating businesses, and they're going to leave after an hour. And in fact, if you're with that business more than an hour, like you should, and that's part of the training that we'll be giving, you really should just say, I don't know why you would be there more than an hour, but if they have questions or concerns that are not related to the tires, please feel free to send them my way or send them to OCAP. But for the tire portion, there really should not be more than an hour interaction for the first visit. So when we get that hourly, how long that person worked for that day, we're going to assume it's going to include an hour with each scrap tire generating business for the first visit, and then the time it took to visit all of these different businesses. So it's really just more of time accounting and then mileage. And I don't know exactly how you do that right now, what system you use to do that.
And then there was another question come in. So they're asking, can they use someone who receives a higher salary as long as they pay the difference? And again, since we are not really involved in your salary payments, we're just paying for these sites. It's up to you if you can pick whoever you want to go on the visits for whatever salary you pay them, just knowing that we will only reimburse for the amount in your application and in line with the grant contract. And then also, when will materials for distribution be available is the next question, Shannon.
Yeah, so most of the resources that make up this model are online. When I come out and visit you in January, I will be bringing the things that are not online, like palm cards. But the spreadsheet that you're supposed to complete is available online to be downloaded. The visit logs are online, available to be downloaded. There are instructions that you would give to the scrap tire generating businesses that are online to be downloaded. So you can definitely include copy cost in your as funds that you want to be, as something that you want to be reimbursed for.
And so Shannon, when you email them out your contact, can you just go ahead and give them the link directly back to the grant page where those are so they
Sure.
don't have to hunt for it? Yeah. So we'll get that out to you.
Yeah. And I mean, my expectation is that I'm going to perform this visit with you, with the education outreach coordinator, before anyone visits a scrap tire generating business. So, finding a scrap tire generating business is different than visiting them. So, we could definitely go through the resources on our website. If after this call, if you ever have questions, please feel free to reach out to me. In fact, that's the part I didn't get to is contacts. So the contacts for the grant are myself, Kelly Jeter, my supervisor who's been speaking, and then Courtney Nugan. And really, I'm the primary contact for questions, resources, anything that you need. So please feel free to reach out to me. My phone number's not up there, but by email, and we can definitely schedule a Teams call or any kind of meeting source that you use, whether it's Google Meet or whatever, and we can go through the resources on the website, and I can explain things to you whenever you have an issue. And then if the issue arises when you're out with a scrap tire generating business, please feel free to reach out to me. I've done a lot of outreach with small businesses. I used to work in OCAP, and I used to be an inspector. So definitely know how that can be, how that experience can be trying.
All right, we had one more comment come in, Shannon, and they're asking, is the video link to include the scrap tire grant program community? So I haven't clicked on that, but let's see what this is. So the video link is already on our website, right? That's the one we want them
Yes.
to use. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, maybe I should try to go to our website real quick.
Yeah, why don't you do
Jeff
that?
just
That way
take us
we
to the
can
website
see.
real quick, and we'll try to show a few things as people ask questions. Just give us one sec.
Great, all right.
Okay, let me know if you guys can see that.
We're here.
It's coming over there.
Yeah. Can
Okay, so now I need to come here. It's not showing up here then. On this page.
oh, it's
Oh, it's not going to. Oh, okay, never mind. So, oh, geez, I screwed that up.
out.
I'm sorry. I'm horrible with these. Sorry. Okay. This is the grant webpage. And as you scroll down, there's a tab called video. And in under video is all the videos that we've created for the grant. So the one that you're going to link to local officials, law enforcement, is going to be Scrap Tire Grant Program Community. So you would give them a link to this video. This one here was a promo video. And in fact, this here is actually, if you wanted to watch it, is the community video itself that was created, which is the one you're going to link, give that link to local officials and law enforcement. And then, of course, this was the original grant webinar. But here under, we have a tab called Resources. And this tab actually provides all the resources for the different steps in the model. So the model is made up of 3 steps. And here we have the resources really allocated under step 1 and step 2, and then general model resources, because step 3 is really the final report. And that's just kind of taking all the resources from other steps and submitting them to Ohio EPA. So general model resources, this is kind of the stuff I will go through with the EOC once I come out, is the scrap tire generating business inventory. This is going to be the actual, it's a spreadsheet. See if I can pull that open real quick. Does it show up? Oh, it's not sure. Is it? I'm gonna let you do that, Jeff. Jeff's so much better with computers than I am. So when we talk about this inventory, this is the spreadsheet where you would list the name of the business and provide information about an address, what type of business it is. So this spreadsheet is where you're going to populate all of your scrap tire generating businesses. And this is going to be part of the final report. Do I click there, Jeff?
Yeah, that should close it.
Okay. So that's one resource. Here are the other resources. So for example, step 1 is actually communication, where you're going to reach out to local officials and local law enforcement. And here is that template letter that you'll complete. These are some talking points that are available to you if you end up attending a city council meeting or even calling a local official, law enforcement over the phone, talking points about the program to kind of help you out. This is a cases handout. So for example, if you were to go to like a city council meeting and you wanted to make the case, that as to why this outreach is necessary, it identifies, for example, is it going to show up here, Jeff?
Yeah, so you get the PDF for that.
Okay, great. So for example, it shows a lot of prosecuted cases in this state by the Attorney General. If you want to make the case for why it's really important that we do education and outreach to scrap tire generating businesses, these are the type of things that happen when scrap tire generating businesses don't use registered scrap tire transporters. So this is just kind of some of the resources that are available. These are not, so we provide cases handout and we provide, for example, this resources table that actually tells you all the resources we have available for you to provide to local officials and law enforcement, but you're not required to use them. But if you want to, you definitely can. So here, for example, we explain the video, describe it, when to use it, any customization options. We provide the standard talking points, explain that resource. We have the template letter. We have palm cards. Those are the ones I'll be dropping off to you. Again, if you have a in-person meeting or you want to provide a palm card and send out a palm card to a local official, law enforcement, that's fine. Again, I just showed you that resource, successful prosecution handouts. These are, again, the types of resources we've created for you to share with local officials and law enforcement. And then this is a guidance document for law enforcement that explains on a very basic level Ohio EPA's regulations and helps them understand how to kind of understand what the regulatory requirements are for scrap tire generating businesses and scrap tire transporters. So these are kind of the things that are available on the webpage. You can look through these resources and decide, oh, I want to use some of these, or you don't. But the model explains the minimum you have to do, which is that email with a link to that video and then the template letter. And then step 2 is when you begin to perform your visits. These are the resources that you're going to need. This visit log is the one that I'm going to come out and talk to the education outreach coordinator about. It really step-by-step takes the education outreach coordinator through the process of interfacing with the scrap tire generating business to first of all determine, how do they store their tires? Are they using a registered transporter? Because those are the 2 behaviors we want them to adopt. But then here are also and here's a contact script, again, for the first time when they reach out to the scribe type generating business, key things to say, hey, this is why I'm here. We have a resource packet that they would provide to the scribe type generating business on that first visit. You know, we have a table for them that says, this is how these are your requirements in terms of how you have to secure your tires, mosquito control, record keeping, and of course, the use of a registered scribe tire transporter. So these are the resources that the EOC is going to initially leave with the scribe tire generating business at the first visit. They're only going to spend at that first visit time on this table. These are other resources that they can just leave with them. Guidance document on transporters, guidance document on scribe tire generators, and then a resource they can look at later if they care to why scribe tire management is important. So this is, again, part of that first visit. And then once they provide this resource packet to the scribe tire generating business, they'll begin to go through the log and try to get a better understanding of where they're at in adopting these behaviors. Are they using a registered transporter? Do they secure the tires at their place of business? These are other resources that I'm not going to, go into unless you want me to, that are available and that are discussed in the model. Any questions? I kind of ran through that. That video I was telling you about, the resource video, really goes through every single one of these resources and helps you to understand the purpose and how to use it. And then again, when I do that visit with the EOC, we'll go through the visit log, which actually identifies a lot of these resources and talks about how to use them.
The link to the website is in the chat, so you can click that and you can explore yourself.
Are there any other questions? Like I said, if you want to call me and we go through these resources together, I absolutely have no problem with that. I want you to feel comfortable with the material. I want you to understand the material. So I have no problem with that. We can spend an hour together. We can spend so much time on it that it'll make your eyes cross. I have no problem with that. And if you don't want to go back to your grant contract, here is a copy of the model that you're going to follow.
Okay, I'm not seeing anything else coming in the chat. I do want to just tell everyone that we very much appreciate you all applying and spending your time. I know you're all very busy, and this is going to be quite the effort. And we couldn't do it without you. I know you always hear that, but it's so true. These are such a widespread businesses, and we do think that they are responsible for some of the tires sneaking out of the system. So we really appreciate the work that you're going to be doing, and just want to say thank you very much. Oh, and can we provide a link to the resource materials? Okay, so the link to the resource materials, that's the one that you included above, right, Jeff?
Yeah, and I put it in there again, just so it's right at the bottom here.
So yeah, we're definitely providing a link to the resources, so you can go in and look at them. Now, there is going to be a video here that actually explains every resource, and that should be up hopefully by tomorrow. I put in a request to have that put up, so that will be the fourth video. Definitely take a look at that. And again, please feel free to reach out to me about any of these resources. I want you to feel comfortable with them, understand them.
Okay, so I think we have one more question. I'm not sure I understand it, so we may ask you to kind of clarify. So They're saying to the businesses instead of a paper copy. Are you asking if we can just provide the business a link to the website? If that's your question, please speak up.
Right. Can we just
Okay.
provide the link on the website, or do we have to give them a paper copy? Because that's 10 copies times 100 businesses. That's a lot of copies, of which we didn't really account for in the budget.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I think the issue is, and Shannon, you can speak to this, we want to make sure that they have the materials. So I would say that we are
Mhm.
looking for them to have the materials handed to them just based on the outreach we've done thus far. It's unlikely that after you leave, they will actually take a link and look at that materials. It's somewhat more likely that they might possibly read what you handed them. So we would ask that you do provide them
I mean,
with copies and, yeah. And Shannon, you know what, if that is the cost of the copies is going to become an issue that you didn't account for, Shannon and I can talk to you that later and see if there's anything we can do to help with that.
Kelly, what about if I just take a copy of the resource? You're mainly talking about the resource packet, right? Is that Jane? Okay, sorry. I thought I knew the voice. If
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
talking about, okay, if you know, if you're mainly talking about the resource packet, I can try and bring for the number of scrap tire generating businesses that you proposed in your application, I can bring that number of resource packets to you when I visit. Would that work?
Yep, we got a yes. And I should just say we'll extend that to anyone else. If you would like or need us to provide those packets when we come visit you, please let Shannon know.
Yep, I have this. That's absolutely no problem. With COVID and with our IT people, we have a lot of extra paper. They're really pushing us to electronic. And so I understand what you're saying. Jane, I just think sending them to the website might cause more confusion. And as Kelly mentioned, we don't know if they really would ever go. So I will definitely make sure that when I bring the palm cards, I bring that resource packet with me. No problem.